Hello and welcome to My Retro Watches. This video is all about how to Re-Lume watch hands. It's a relatively straightforward process. You don't need much skill and you don't really need much in the way of tools. I'm going to take you through the steps that I do in order to do it, the equipment I use, the loom I use, and you should be able to do this pretty straightforward after this. I'm also going to do a bit on my microscope, but that's only to make it easy for me to film in macro and for you guys to actually see what's going on. I would normally do this under some slight magnification, usually by an optivisor. But you could do it with a loom, you could even do it with one of those magnifying glasses that's static. It is quite straightforward. The first thing to talk about then is the sort of tools that we're going to need. So we're going to need a pair of tweezers, purely just to be able to pick up the hands and move them into place. We've got to put the loom on. So to put the loom on, I use watch oilers, usually the ones with a slightly fatter end on them, so they are colour coordinated to size. So I've got a yellow one there and I've got a green one, because it does depend on the gap that you've got to loom. These hands here are quite skinny, but other ones are quite wide. The only other thing we need, of course, is the loom powder and the binder to mix. So I use this glow in the dark high quality powder, and I'll leave a link to where I bought this from on eBay in the description below. It's relatively cheap, or it's very cheap in fact. A big bag like this of 10 grams is going to last me forever, has to be said. But it glows very, very well, and it dries a slight off white, so it's perfect really. When you mix the powder, you need a bond, or a binder should we say, to make it glue together, and I use this. Let me suddenly realise I was on full magnification. So Humbrol matte coat, 28 millilitres, which is again is enormous. And this code here, this AC5601. I think from memory this was £4 maybe, something like that, so it's relatively cheap. With the loom powder that I buy, it came with an ultraviolet pen, and these are really good. See, it actually works on there now, look, so it shows up a bit of loom. But when you put the new one in, it glows a lot better. It just helps rather than trying to charge the loom with a light to see how good you've got it. And then you need something to mix the powder in. I've just got this old plastic container. You could use practically anything for this. So the next shot will be on the microscope as we remove the old loom. Okay, now we're set up on the microscope, and I've got the minute hand here. I've got it so you're looking at the back of the hand, and as you can see, that is the old loom. Usually it's a lot darker than this on the ones I do, but what we've got to try and do is to remove that, and I basically use a pair of sharp tweezers and just got to gently scratch it away. And as you can see, certainly on this one, it comes off quite easy. It suggests to me actually that this has probably been re-loomed once before, because the factory loom, these are from a Seco, and the factory loom on these when they're about 40 years old is normally rock hard. So I would assume this might have been done before. But it's quite a simple procedure. You don't have to be all that precise. You want the main old bit out in the middle. Like so. You could use some pegwood for this. I've always found that a sharp edge and a sharp object is easier. And always do it from the reverse, never do it from the front, because if you scratch the back it doesn't matter. Scratch the front, you've ruined the hands. So I'm reasonably happy with that already. One thing to do, I've got this held down with a bit of roddy coat, is to turn it onto its front and have a look. So let's try and get that to focus. So there's a bit of rot on these hands. I don't know if that's a bit of loom. Actually, I think it is, which again proves that it's been redone. So as much as I said don't scratch on this side, I feel I haven't got much choice. And again, there's some down there. So I'll clean that off with a fibre brush. These hands are scrap anyway, they're just purely for this demonstration. I don't know if I'll get a fibre brush under here, under the camera. So that there is a bit of rot. Yeah. Okay, I won't spend too long because we just want to show you how it's done. So you repeat the procedure with the hour hand. I'll do that off camera, and then I'll show you how I mix the loom. So I've now got my little plastic container and my bag of loom, and we're just going to get a little bit of this. See, that's way too much. A little bit like that, no more. And then get my clear coat, or matte coat as this one says. And then all we want to do is to take some of this. I don't know if you can see that, let's try and zoom in a bit. And then you just want to try and mix it all, excuse my fingers, mix it all together. Obviously I need a bit more, and you want to get it so that it's not too runny, but definitely not too thick. And the joy is, if it gets too thick, you can add either more of the binder, or you can use some thinners. See, at the moment I think this is a bit, just a off shot, a bit too runny. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of the powder. That was a bit too much. Okay, that's starting to kind of look like the consistency I want. You can check if it's going to glow. just see that in the middle of the light. So now what you have to do is apply it to the hands. Now these hands are very thin, as you saw, so it's quite straightforward. On thicker hands it's a little bit more difficult, but it's same principle. So you don't want to use too much. Too much gets onto the other side of the hand, onto the front side, and you want it all on the back. So I'll just set it up and cut to the next shot. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing more than one set today. I've got them in a little bit of Rodico, and just for convenience I put them on this lid so I can move them about. It's important that you don't get the Rodico anywhere near the gap that you're going to fill, or else it'll stick to that and it will ruin it. And all we're going to do is take a little bit of our mix onto our oiler, and we're going to wipe it across. Like so. So you don't want to apply too much because you run the risk of it going through the hole. Plus, if you get it too thick on one side, on the back side, when you actually install the hands, they can touch. So I've done that quite a few times, and you end up trying to either re-lume again or try and sand a bit of the loom down. So you can see how quickly I can do this. As I say, on bigger hands they're a bit more of a problem to get that one flat. And there we are, there's all of those hands done. And I'm going to try and kill the lights a bit. It's not coming through very well on camera, but of course on the opposite side of that you can kind of see the effect. There we go. So you can see they're going to be okay. Allow those to dry for a few hours, and then you can install them, but just double check that you haven't put it on too thick. And there we have it. That's how I loom my hands. It's the cheap and easy way. Yes, you can go out and spend a lot of money on loom powder, professional watch loom powder, and I'm sure that's very good. But typically for me, I do everything on a budget, and I think if you're trying to do this for the first time yourself, you get excellent results with this, and it works just fine. So hopefully you found this video useful and you've watched it to the end. If you have, well done. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see more. And please don't forget, you can join my Facebook group, which is Retro and Vintage Watches and Restorations, where you can find more tips on how to fix watches, what your problems are, or if you just want to show all of your own collection or be inspired by other people's collections. Please come in and join the group. Thanks for watching.